we had a little last minute watching the niece thing. So that's why we have our little visitor. Oh, and another visitor that just ran into the room. But thank you for coming today. Thank you for coming to another Creating in Faith Live with Prima show. And today's a special one. We usually don't have one on Wednesday mornings, but we really wanted to share this one with you. I'm going to be doing my entry actually in a traveling Bible, and a group on Facebook has put this together, and this Bible is going to be traveling all over, and different artists will be entering their own journal entries in the Bible. So it's my turn, and today's entry is going to be my entry for the traveling Bible, and then I'll pass it on to the next artist. So yes, we are going to have so much fun in this, and I'm going to show you some of the new Creating in Faith products. For those of you who don't know, I came out with a collection with Prima, and it's called Creating in Faith, and it's based off of my faith in the Bible. And I wanted to create pieces that others could use to show their creativity and their faith as well. And I came across a lot of comments in the journaling Bible groups that said they couldn't draw, their artwork wasn't as good as this person or that person. And I want to make it so that people aren't comparing themselves. And I know I'm guilty of it too. I compare myself to others. But I wanted to give them tools so that they could create pieces that they were, proud to show, and, take, not pride, but take knowledge that they have a beautiful piece in their Bible. And I also wanted to give people of faith something that they could relate to as well. As many of you know, with my Bloom Girls, I always tried to make faces that everybody could relate to. And this is no different with our Creating in Faith line. So let's go ahead and get started. And you can get the Creating in Faith line in stores now. If you have a store, you can contact Prima Marketing and carry it in your line, and or carry it in your store. It's been very well received. I'm so amazed and humbled by. No, you can't. You gotta sit and watch your movie. I've just been so blown away by how all of you have just shown the love for this collection, because it is really near and dear to my heart. Where are you going, Bee? No, you need to watch your movie. Or you gotta sit with me. You gonna sit with me? Okay. Again, I apologize. She'll be leaving here a little bit, but I have a little helper today. So, my entry is about Mary, and this is one of the new stamps, the Women of the Bible stamps, and this is Mother Mary. And this was one of the first ones I drew. I really wanted, she's a very important part in this whole story. So I really wanted to make her special, and today we're going to do an entry on her. And as my last few pages, same as my last few pages, I made a card or a tag to go along with it. In this, you can go ahead and create the tag, pass it on to somebody else. Now I have something going on my Facebook page where I'm encouraging people to create tags and share them with others. Create a tag, give it as a gift, send it in the mail. If you can, attach a little gift card to the back and hide it somewhere, or put it somewhere in the grocery store or somewhere like that, because we know so many people right now are on tough times, and just a little bit of God's love and our love for others could really help them out. So that's just a kind of cool thing. Also on my page right now, I have a contest going on. And if you read down a few posts, talks about nominating someone else. Oh, you're going to say hi now? Nominating someone else that really needs kind of just love on, and I'll send them a gift, and whoever nominates them will also receive a little gift as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to go find my journaling Bible or traveling Bible. And let's find our page. It's going to be in Luke. Let's see. Here it is. Now, some of you have asked about where you could find journaling Bibles. There we go. She's not watching it, so just shut off. I found mine at christianbooks.com. You can find them on Amazon as well. I find, though, sometimes their prices are a little inflated, so you do need to kind of keep an eye on what, they're being charged. You're being charged. I personally use an ESV single column, and it looks like an ESV double column. Let me check. Let's see here. Yes, this is an ESV journaling Bible. No, you don't need that. You don't need that. Eat? No, we don't need to eat. Can you say hi now? Say hi. Can you wave hi? Oh, you're going to be bashful now? Okay. So we are going to go ahead and start our piece. To start this page out, what you're going to want to do is grab some matte medium. I use matte medium just so that it doesn't become sticky later on. Sometimes the gel mediums can leave that tackiness onto your page, and I wanted to make sure that we had just a matte finish. And the reason why we're putting the matte medium down is so that we can put our gold leaf down, or copper leaf actually is what I'm going to be using today. And that will allow you to put that gold leaf down. And I get this at the craft store. It comes in sheets like this. Usually comes in a plastic package. And this is more like a copper bronze finish to it than a gold. They're also silver and like a pewter color as well. You're having fun, aren't you, over here, huh? You having fun over here? So I'm just going to put just a little dab of the matte medium on my page. I'm going to grab a brush. Doesn't have to be fancy because we're just spreading the matte medium out a little bit. And I'm just going to put that down haphazardly. It doesn't need to be exact because we kind of want that unfinished look with our foil. And we're going to lift this up. Lift that up and just place pieces down over the top of the matte medium. Okay. Let's not brush our hair with that. Okay. We're going to place, no. Go find your toy. Okay. So we're going to place that down. All right. And you have to make sure that you work with it while it's damp, because if it gets a chance to dry, it's not going to adhere your foil. And then I just rub off that excess. Now it will crinkle or warp your paper a bit. Oh my goodness. Yeah, here. Okay. Hold on. There we go. All right. And also, I suggest, I'm not using a lot of paints in today's class, but if you are using paints and stuff like that, I suggest placing a sheet between the pages, just in case the paint and whatnot decides to bleed through. So you can use a piece of paper. Sheena Noel has a really nice page separator with her collection. So you just kind of look on the market and see what you find. So we have our gold leaf down on this one. While this dries, we're going to go ahead and prep our tag. And I'm going to grab a tag and we'll go ahead and put the leafing on that as well. Since we already have it out, might as well put it down also. And then that'll have time to dry. So let's put this aside. We're going to do a little matte medium on this one as well. And this one I'm going to kind of make it a little grungier. So I'm just going to use my fingers. Kind of got a little too much matte medium. Did you shut it off? No, we don't need that. You watch this one. I apologize, you guys.
No.
8. Okay. So we have that. And gosh darn it, my screen just shut off. How can my screen go to sleep when I have something running on it? Makes no sense to me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and just place my card. This is another way you can apply that leafing. Place it on the sheet. Okay. And it'll pick up whatever it needs. And then I'm just going to lightly rub that off. And it'll pull some of the excess off because I really want just a thin, rough layer for this one. Okay. I probably have a little bit too much on here, but that's okay. So we have this card now. What are you doing now?
I did.
Yeah. Oh my word. Peyton, your cousin taught you something. She's pushing these sound effect buttons and it let out a big something. Oh, it's nonstop, I tell you, nonstop. So this is the gold, how we did the gold foil on the tag. And again, I'm just going to set that aside, let the gel or the matte medium dry all the way. And now I could put my gold leafing away because we're done with that for now. And then let's go ahead and start on our tag. Now we have our beautiful Mary tag, and I've already stamped her. And I went ahead and used a archival ink because I'm using other mediums with the stamp. I want to make sure that I'm using an ink that's going to allow, you know what, my light's really bright on her. Let's move that over just a little bit. There we go. I want an ink that I'm able to use other mediums with. So I'm going to be using colored pencils as well as pens. And to do that, using like a chalk ink or non-permanent ink, you have the possibility of your colors running and smudging the stamp. So we went ahead and used a Memento. You can also use Ranger's archival ink. Anything permanent will work for this. Now, I am using Faber-Castell's, their Pit Pen in copper, because I wanted a color similar to the background. And we're just going to color her in. Now, this is kind of where I'm going to leave it up to you. I'll show you, of course, what I'm using. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. A little better, hopefully. And I'm just coloring in the yoke of her dress. Color around the little heart here. Okay. Across. Does anybody have any questions yet? Or as of now, do you have any questions? Okay. Yes, definitely if you're using watercolors, you want to use an archival ink because that way your mediums don't blend together. Okay, we're going to color that in. I have a feeling little Miss P behind me is grenading this iPad. She's being awfully quiet and pushing a lot of buttons. All right, so now that we have the copper done, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go in. Why is this light so? It's really kind of jacking with my colors here. Now I'm going to pull out my colored pencils. And we'll just pick a couple to kind of get us started. Now, you probably noticed I stamped my image onto an Granger manila tag. One reason why I stamped it onto a manila tag is so that it's easier to color. I'm not putting as much effort into getting the skin tones because our coloring is kind of already there. So I'm taking like a raw umber, and I'm just going to go right around the edges of her skin, lightly coloring over all of her features. Many of you know I usually use watercolors for this, but I wanted to show you a different way to color in our stamps. And then I'm also going to show you how you definitely don't have to even color them in, and I'll show you that on the tag. Okay. So I'm just coloring in certain features, kind of where her shading would go, right around their jawline. It looks kind of yellow in the video, but it's a little warmer than what you're seeing. Yes, you definitely just need to play around and have fun with it. Don't get discouraged, especially with, social media. It's so hard to kind of put yourself out there and not be discouraged by, other people's projects and things like that. And so I really want to encourage you just to do your own thing and be happy with your own work. And believe me, it's taken me a lot of time to get to that point, and I still find myself sometimes just doubting myself and doubting the gifts that I was given by God and why He would even give them to me in the first place. Now I'm using a kind of a Venetian red. It's kind of a warm skin tone pink color, and I'm kind of just adding a little bit of blush to her cheeks. I'm adding a little bit of red to her lips, things like that. Okay. So we're adding just a little bit of warmth to her face now. And with that same color, I'm going to go ahead and color in the heart. I start out kind of dark, kind of like when coloring in our books when we were younger. Start dark towards the outside and then lightly pull in that color. She's playing with dogs behind me. Okay. So we have our little heart. I'm going to bring in another red just to add a little contrast, a darker red just around the edge. Okay. And then we're going to color in the roses. Oh no, she escaped. Bee! Come in here, Bee. Bring the ball in here. Okay, we're just gonna color. And I'm not being exact, especially with these little roses. The nice part about these smaller stamps is, I mean, you can color them in and it doesn't have to be, a masterpiece. So it's just really fun to kind of add your own personal touches to them. Add your own color choices. Now, we have 4 Women of the Bible stamps. We have Mary, of course. We have Eve, Ruth, and Esther. And they all sell separately, and they're all about the same size as Mary. They're smaller than the regular Bloom Girl stamps, but they're great on cards and tags. And when I was designing them, I wanted to design them so that they could be used, of course, in the margins of our Bibles. But that doesn't limit you to just creating in a journaling Bible. You can use them in a regular art journal. And again, like I said, you can use them in your cards and tags. You can use them on, I saw somebody made a candle for the holidays using all of the Women of the Bible stamps. It looked amazing. And it's just so fun to see when people come up with different ideas and stuff, just to see how their creativity comes out by using the product, and how it inspires them, and how it inspires them to walk closer in their faith. It's really fun to see, and it encourages me to, continue in my journey as well. So every little thing we do encourages others around us. So I'm just going in. Now I'm taking a green and coloring in kind of those vines. Oh, I think my relief is here for P. Lily, my niece. Oh, the dog. Sorry. Okay. So we have another little rose here. Did you get her seat already? Okay. Come on, let's go by. I'll bring her other stuff back by when we're done. Yeah, you're gonna go. Can I have a hug? Oh, thanks, B. I'll see you later. She woke up at like 9, a little after 9. Okay. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, I'll get it. Come on. Bye, P. Say bye-bye. Oops. Oh, is that hers? She can have it. Okay. Bye, B. See you later. Bye. All right. She's now going with Graham, back with Grammy. Okay. So we're going to continue coloring our green. I kind of cut the heart out already, so it's a little hard to color, but I can color it later. Okay. And now let's go ahead and color the robe, her garment she's got on. Let's see. I'm using like a terracotta color. And again, I'm just adding kind of a little bit of shading. I'm not, adding too much color, like a constant heavy color. I just want to take and use the color from the tag and build on that. Saves you time. And it gives it a nice look, I think. Okay. Coming around under here, adding a little bit of shading and lightening as we go down. It's really hard. I don't know why the light's really kind of drowning that out. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to try something real quick, you guys. Holy moly. That is not going to work. Okay. So that was a horrible idea. Well, that's a little better. Okay. I want to get both the tag and the page done today so you could see both this time. Okay. So I'm bringing that darker color up around her face to add a little more contrast. Okay. All right. I'm going to bring in a darker brown color just to go over. Really with colored pencils, you really need to layer color on top of each other. If you're pretty new with colored pencils, they do have a slight learning curve to them, but once you get the hang of it, they're so easy to use once you kind of know the basics of using them. They last a long time. You can really have some fun effects with those. So I'm bringing this darker brown over the top just to give it a little more depth, a little bit more shading. Okay. All right, and I could always go back in and add some more later. Now I'm going to go in and just color in her hair. I'm going in dark. I'm doing more of a solid, just a solid color. I'm using that same brown. You could also use black if you want. All right. So we have her colored. Didn't take very long. Took us, well, between interruptions, didn't take very long. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting her out. Now, you want to make sure when you're using an X-Acto knife, you hold it away from you. You don't want to hold it like across. You don't want to cut across hands. So I'm always kind of cutting across or away from my other hand. Also, you want to turn your paper and not the knife as much as possible. It'll allow you to cut cleaner edges, and it helps with safety as well. So I'm just turning and cutting. And also make sure you have a fresh knife because it makes this a lot easier. Which I do not have right now. And I cut away pieces. That way I'm not fighting against the other pieces of paper. Makes it just a little bit easier. Now, while I'm cutting, I'll kind of go over announcements. And we have a few things coming up. The next show coming up is with Miranda on Thursday, December 10th. And that's at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. She is going to be creating altered spools using the IOD paintables. Miranda always creates beautiful pieces, so make sure if you haven't watched any of her shows, or if you're new to Live with Prima, they have shows every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays are at 11, Thursdays are at 6:30, and they're always Pacific time. And there's always fun ideas, whether it's scrapbooking or home decor or, you know, altered art, altered books. You're always going to learn something new. And if you're new to crafting, it's a great way to just find inspiration. Even if you don't feel that it's your thing that you want to get into, you could take elements from those classes and use them in projects that appeal more to you, which is great as well. So I'm just cutting out these little pieces here. Okay, almost done. Get this little piece out here as well. Okay. All right. Who is going to be at CHA this year? Can't wait to see everybody. Hoping it's a good one. Sorry, I kind of noticed I get off camera, but it's easier to have it right next to me when I'm trying to cut. And notice again, I'm turning the paper as much as I can instead of my knife. And that just makes it a little bit easier while I'm cutting. Almost finished. And then we'll put her on her page. And we'll start on our tag. Okay. Now this little vine is a little bit difficult. The vine you can, of course, not even cut. You can kind of cut it off and not mess with it. So that's an option. If you're not into fussy cutting, keep that in mind. Or if you're not great at fussy cutting, like I tend to be, you can cut that as well. Okay. I was asked if I was going to be adding men of the Bible to my line. As of now, I don't believe so. Doesn't look like we will be. Okay. And this one little piece, I want to make sure I get it off because I really want this ivy piece. but I also don't want to cut myself doing it. Or rip the poor little ivy off. Okay, I'm going to get the rest with a pair of scissors. Okay, you know the problem with having a craft room that has a door that remains open all the time is things walk away. I went into my daughter's room yesterday, could not find one pair of scissors in my room, not one. And I've gotten scissors sent to me. I mean, I can't count how many pairs. Not a one pair of scissors in my room. She had 5 or 6 in her room. I'm like, oh, child, you're killing me, Smalls. All right, so we have our Mary ready to go. Okay, and now we are going to go ahead and add her to our page. You can see the finished page here. Oh, she's upside down. But now we're going to go to the Bible we're working in. The page is dry. Doesn't take long for the matte medium to dry. And we're going to go ahead and before I put her down, I'm going to take a little bit of distress ink. And here it is. I knew I pulled it out. And I'm going to use, let's see what color. Vintage Photo, I believe. Let's just check the color a little bit. Yeah. So we're going to take a little bit of Vintage Photo. Let me see. Does that help a little bit with light? Not really. And I'm just going to come off of, well, let me put this paper between the 2 pages. And I'm going to pull the distress ink away from the copper leafing towards the edges. And same with down at the bottom. Okay. Pull that down. And then I'm going to bring some just a little bit into the wording. Now, when I'm doing a page, I try to keep it from, I try to keep my journaling from covering up the words. Now, some of you notice that, you know, I do use writing and stuff over the top, but I make sure that I can still read what the Bible's saying. Me personally, I don't want to cover up, you know, the word. That's the important part. My art's secondary. And I just kind of like to keep that in people's minds, is that our art is secondary and God's word is primary. So just kind of think about that when you're journaling. Remember why we're journaling and remember, you know, the purpose behind it. And don't let the art kind of overtake everything too. I know we love, you know, to get creative and stuff, but don't let it, you know, kind of overshadow why we're doing it. Okay. Just putting a few little pop dots on the back of her, kind of just to give her a little bit of depth. She's not going to take up too much room. Once your Bible's closed and everything, these backs to these things drive me nuts. I think this one already had the back taken off and it's no longer sticky. My little friend earlier kind of took that off. So I'm going to go ahead and attach her. All right. So we're attaching her with our 3D. And now I'm going to come in with a black liner pen. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. I suggest some type of pen, whatever pen you're using. Just try it out, test it out on a couple of the pages in the back. Most Bibles have a few plain sheets in the back that you could test some of your products on, and it'll give you an idea of what will work, what won't work. Some mediums do bleed through and some don't. So I'm just going to go in here, make little crosses I'll make a few hearts we'll color in. So I'm just kind of doodling, and what this does is it brings the page and the design together a little, you know, makes it a little more coherent, adds another layer of design to the piece. Okay, so I'm just making little doodles. Okay. And then what I did for my journaling in the original was Mary, did you know? And I'll write that later because I can't write upside down. But that's what I did, wrote it. You could also use lettering if you want to. If you don't like your handwriting, you could of course use stickers and things like that to continue on journaling. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a tab. And what I have one of the tab punches from We Are Memory Keepers, and this is great. They also sell seals, so you could put your tabs into like a protective seal. But what I'm doing is I'm just taking one of my note cards, punching out a tab, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the edge of the page. I want to make sure that I don't put it too close to the edge, that it rips my page. Okay. And because the journaling Bible all has, or the traveling Bible all has the tabs up top, I'm going to go ahead and put this tab at the top as well. In the original, it was on the side. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit more gold leaf or gold foil up here. I'm going to take the adhesive since I have it out. Just dab a little bit over the tab and take our gold leaf. Where did I set it at? Here it is. Just take a little piece. And rub that over the adhesive. Just to kind of blend the two together. Here we go. All right. And now to reference what book I'm journaling about, I'm going to take my stamps, the Bible stamps, and some of you have already seen my little box. I went ahead and took all of my little stamps and placed them into a container that helps me kind of keep track of them, because as you can see, this is the Bible book set. It comes with every book of the Bible, the name of each book of the Bible. It comes with a series of numbers, and then it has emojis to kind of remind you what that verse was about or how it made you feel, things of that nature, kind of, or what it's based on, like relationships, about fortune and family, babies, love, things like that. Kind of gives you an idea of what that verse or your journaling was based on. So I'm going to go ahead and find Luke, my little Luke stamp, and I'm going to go ahead and just stamp this onto just a random piece of scratch paper. It doesn't have to be anything specific because we're just going to place it down onto the page. And I was hoping to use a white piece of paper, but I can't find any right now. That's what happens when you clean your desk off too well. You end up losing all the little pieces here. We'll just use this piece. This was Peyton's doodle paper earlier. Okay. And then we're just going to... And I like when part of the frame of the stamp shows up when I'm stamping. It's kind of cool because they're so small. You can add that frame around the stamp, or you can stamp lightly and just stamp the word. So you can have a couple options. Let's move our little box of stamps. Put those aside. I'm going to cut out my Luke a little better. That's if I could cut straight. And then I'm going to adhere it up here on my tab. Okay. Alrighty. Now her heart, I'm going to go ahead, the heart down at the bottom, down here. Move that up now. This little heart down here, I'm going to go ahead and color it in now that I have it stabilized with the foam square. Grab our colored pencil. You could also grab a marker if you wanted to kind of stand out more and just color that in. Okay. And there is our page. And again, you can do your journaling later on. I kind of like leaving that up to you guys because that's based off your personal understanding of what you've read. But there is our page, and now we're going to go ahead and do our tag. Ooh, we have enough time. So we're going to grab our tag that we added our foil, our gold leafing to earlier. And then we're going to add our Mary stamp. Now we're going to stamp her directly to the tag now. Instead of adding a different layer, I'm going to rub off the excess leafing. Okay, I don't know why my light's so bright. Okay, I'm going to use the Memento again. And as you noticed, I don't use blocks very often, but I'm also not the best stamper in the world either, so don't take advice from me. So I'm just going to kind of line her up to one side. Okay, push that down. We have our little stamped image. On the original, I went ahead and I took the Distress ink again. Same one, the vintage photo. And did the edges of our tag. Coming off the tag and then bringing the ink on. And what's fun about this is you'll see where your matte medium is on the tag that it didn't grab the gold leaf, because it has a different finish to it when you take the Distress ink over the top of it compared to, oh, my stamp wasn't dry all the way. Oops. Kind of smeared her a little bit, you guys. Oh well. Okay. Our stamped image wasn't dry on the matte medium, and it kind of smeared her a little bit. Keep that in mind when you're stamping. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to color in the red spot, the red pieces on the stamp with our colored pencil. Okay. And you can color in just what is visible behind the gold leaf if you want. If you went a little heavy-handed with the gold leaf like I did on this one. This is a little rougher, faster project than the Bible entry, but it'll still be fun to pass it along with the Bible when I send it to the next artist. All right. I'm going to do the same doodling I did on our page. So we're going to add our little hearts and our crosses. Come down here and do some. Okay. Take my marker we used earlier, the Pip pen we used earlier, color in those little hearts. You can do the same in the Bible entry as well if you'd like, or you can leave them open. Okay. Let's add a couple more she's not the straightest stamped on here. Now what I did with this one is I took the tab from the Mary packaging, and I went ahead and placed it onto my tag. So it's a great way that you could reuse pieces of your packaging on your project as well. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to cut a couple of tabs out of our cardigan, or yep, our note cardigan. I'm going to do one, or I'm going to do two. One so that we put the solid color up, and then one so we could put the pattern side up. And we're just going to offset those just a little bit. So I'm going to put the brown down first. So if my glue wants to come out. So we're going to place that on the side. And then we're going to add the pattern side up and just stagger it just a little bit. Okay. And then the little heart is actually one of the emojis from the Bible book set. Let me find it in my box of plenty here. It may not have, oh, yes it did. It made it back into the box. So we're just going to stamp this again on a piece of paper. Actually, let's use a little piece of manila tag. And then we're going to cut out the heart. Actually, let me color this in first. I colored the original one in it. Who makes your tab punch? This is, the tab punch is made by We Are Memory Keepers. I found it on Amazon. The tab, if you're looking for this, this is actually teal. It shouldn't be so blue in the video. So if you're looking on Amazon, it'll have a teal handle on it. And they have different shapes of tabs as well. So you can kind of look what they have. So let's go ahead and choose another color. Let's go ahead with this terracotta color. We're just going to color it in solid color. Nothing fancy. And now we'll go ahead and cut that out. Okay. I'm going to pop this one up with a foam square. Place that on there. And then I'll show you how we did the little tassel on the edge. So what you're going to do is you're going to take some basic yarn, take whatever yarn you have. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a few loops back and forth. And depending on the length of the tassel, just figure that when this is bent or folded in half, that's going to be your finished length. So however long you want to make that. I'm getting messed up here. Hold on tight. Okay, I think that's probably enough. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So you have your little loops here. And then you're going to need a piece to go ahead and tie this around. Tie around this, I should say. So I'm going to take one end of my thread or my yarn. I'm going to put it through the hole of the tag. Okay. I'm going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to take my yarn and just tie a knot around it. My other cut piece. Tie a knot around it. And then tie another knot. Now you can cut the excess or just leave it. Now the loops, what you're going to do is with the loops, you'll cut them all like so. Oh, we forgot one little loop. And there you have a fun little quick tassel to add to your tags. And now again, since this Bible is headed off to someone else, I'll go ahead and include the tag with the Bible for the next artist, and we'll see what else kind of comes out of this beautiful book. Let me see. Is there anything else? Anybody else have questions or yeah. It's been a crazy day. You two and your shenanigans. Can't wait to see you at CHA. All right, thank you everybody. Thank you so much. You two. You guys are funny. Thank you. I will see you guys next month on Live with Prima. Again, we'll be doing another Creating in Faith. My shows will basically be the Creating in Faith line, and I'll be sharing different ways to use the pieces. You seem to have extras. Yeah. The gold leaf I got at Michael's. It's usually in the painting department, or not the fine arts, but the craft paint department. You can find it over there with the clay and things like that. It's usually hanging up in a clam pack, and you can find it in different colors like gold, copper, and silver. You can find them in many of your craft stores. So if you you can use any color you want. Yeah, Hobby Lobby had it as well. I've seen it at Joann's. All of the big box stores I know have it. Some of your smaller ones you can ask and they'd be able to bring it in for you too. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Have a good day. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day or evening, I should say. And I will see you next time. Bye.